welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you've all had a really lovely week. So today we're going to be doing a book review, and the title of the book we'll be reviewing today is Stay With Me by Ayobami Adebayo. However, before we delve into reviewing this book, I just want to thank everyone who's subscribed to this channel so far. Thank you for your subscription, and to all of those who have not subscribed so far, please click the button down below and subscribe so that when I post a new video, you will be sure to know. So I will be going shortly into the reviewing of this book, and just stay with me and enjoy the review as we go along. So the book Stay With Me by Ayobami Adebayo, it was a really interesting read. I found it really interesting, and I think it was a really successful book as well, because as you can see on the screen, it was shortlisted for the 2017 Women's Prize for Fiction, the 2018 Wellcome Book Prize, and it was longlisted for the 2018 International Dylan Thomas Prize. I really think that the author deserved to be, shortlisted and longlisted for these prizes, because she wrote the book in such a way that she was really able to carry, the reader or the listener along, and it was so intriguing. It was those kind of books, that you read and you don't want to put down, because you really want to see how the book, how the story pans out and how the book ends really quickly. So, the book itself was set around 3 Nigerian cities. So it was set in Ibadan as the main place, Jos, and Lagos. And it was centered around, or it is centered around a couple, who were going through fertility issues. So they were unable to have a child. And the lady was really, really becoming desperate to have a child, because the in-laws were on her neck trying to, get her to have a child. They were putting a lot of pressure on her, asking her when she's going to give their son a child. And when the pressure became so much on her, she had to accept the fact that the in-laws, would provided her husband with a second wife. And so the real race for her now was to try to get pregnant before the second wife did. And in the process of trying to get pregnant, she had a period where she had a symptom where she believed that she was pregnant, even though she was not really pregnant. And her husband became really worried about her and all of that. But not to spoil the whole story for you and not to really delve into it, long and short of it was that she had an affair with her brother-in-law, and she managed to get pregnant before the second wife. And unfortunately for her, the child, was a sickle cell child, and the child died. And in order for her to have another child, she just kept hoping, that she would have another child. And on another occasion, she found herself sleeping again with her husband's brother. Now, unbeknownst to her, she thought she was having an affair with her husband's brother. But the twist in the story is that the husband was in the know all along. So I'm not going to talk more about it. I'm just going to tell you that it was a really interesting read. I don't want to spoil it for anyone out there who wants to read it. So I won't go more into telling you how the story ended or what happened, in between when she found out that her husband was in the know all the while. So I won't spoil it for you, but I would say that you should get your hands on the copy of this book if you're a reader and you love to read and you love, intriguing and very interesting stories. Then this book is a sure read for you. You can find it on Amazon, and it comes in different formats on Amazon. So you can buy it as a paperback, or you can buy a Kindle edition if you like to read books on your phone. You can buy it as a hard copy if you like hardback copy books, and you can also buy it on Audible like me, because I bought it on Audible and I listened to it while I was just doing chores around the house. But like I said, it's a really interesting read, and you should get your hands on a copy of this book in any way, shape or form, and just enjoy the read and find out for yourself how the book ended. Having read the book and really and thoroughly enjoyed it, it still left me thinking how this would have played out in reality. Imagine marrying someone, and then after marrying the person, you find out that the person isn't fertile, so isn't able to have children. What will you do at that stage? Would you leave the marriage? Would you say, this is my lot and I'll stay in with this marriage and think of other ways to have children? Because the society that we live in today, they may judge, especially when the pressures start to come, where people would say, oh, they've been married for so and so long now, and the lady isn't getting pregnant. We are not seeing any children from this relationship. Not that it should be any of their business, but that's what we find in the society that we live in today, because most people would marry because they want to have children. So I'm asking, what would your view be? So you got married to someone and then you found out that this person was not fertile. This person cannot have children. Will you stay in the marriage, or will you look for other options, of how to have children in the marriage? It brings me to, the idea of adoption, and also to the idea of surrogacy. Because I would say, if you found yourself in that kind of situation, perhaps you could adopt a child. And that would just be between you and your spouse. Or perhaps you could get a sperm donor. Or perhaps you could use a surrogate mom. These are just my views, but I don't know. I would like to hear what your views are, because currently in the news, we've been hearing how a lot of people, or a lot of men, have been taking their children for DNA testing and finding out that the kids are not theirs. And it could just be that, the wife realized that her husband wasn't able to get her pregnant and decided to solve the problem by herself. It could have been, maybe it would have been nicer if she opened up to her husband, or if the husband opened up to her, and they found a way to work around what their problems are without having to get any other person involved. But most times it looks like people think, oh, this is not a really nice thing, and this is not something that should come out, and this is not something that should get out, and then they take the matters into their own hands without having that conversation with their spouse, and then just try to solve it by themselves by going through other means. So I would really, really like to hear from the viewers. What will you do? Would you stay in that marriage? Would you, work with your spouse in that marriage to find other ways of bearing children? Because we're living in the 21st century now, and we should. There are so many other ways of going around this kind of problems. But what are you? Are you still very conventional, very traditional, very how will I put it? I don't want to say old school, but very sticking to how it should be? Would you stay in the marriage? Would you be with that person no matter what? Especially because the person didn't reveal all to you. The person didn't say everything to you. The person kept that part of their inability a secret from you. Would you stay in that marriage? It will really be interesting to know what your views are. So please leave your comments down below, and we can, talk about those suggestions or those ideas that you have for when a person finds themselves in a situation like this. I heard of a story once, where a lady got married to a guy, and she found out later that he was not potent, and she left the marriage. But then that's her own, take on how she wanted to solve the problem. So she didn't stay long in the marriage. As soon as she found out, she jumped. But then there are also other stories, interesting ones, where the other spouse finds out that her spouse or her partner is not fertile, and they stay and they make amends and they find other ways to solve the problem. So it just really depends on the individual, I would say. But it will be really interesting to hear from you, my audience or my viewers, what you would do, or what you think a person should do if they find themselves in that situation. So I really hope that today you've enjoyed this book, and you've enjoyed, the storyline around this book. Like I said before, it's a really, really interesting piece, and you should grab your hands on a copy of it. if you really want to know how it ended up, or how, you know, this couple dealt with the situation in the long run. Thank you so much for joining me on this channel today. I hope in one way, shape, or the other, I've been able to entertain you. I've been able to get your mind thinking, you know, about all these kind of issues, you know, going forward. It could happen to our children. It could happen to a person that we know. It could happen to our friends. I just felt like it was a really, really, you know, important topic to talk about. And having read it in this really interesting book titled Stay With Me, I decided that, you know, I should discuss the book, and I should, you know, relate the book to, you know, reality, how people would go about, you know, solving this problem if they found themselves in it in real life. Thank you again, like I said, for joining me again on this video and on this channel. I hope you all have a really lovely week. Until next time when I post a new video on this channel, stay blessed and take care of yourselves.